Hey all, thank you for joining me. It's Mr. Campbell Prints here. I thought I would try something new. Besides 3D printing and designing, I like to write short stories in my spare time, and I have for a few years now. And here's one of them. It's called The Time Wanderer. This is chapter 1 of a 3-part chapter series. The voice you'll hear in the video isn't mine, it's AI generated, and so are the images. I use Power Director. It's an app on my phone I use to edit all my videos, do voiceovers, etc. And it also has a great AI tool. Not sponsored, just let you know what I use. So images aren't mine. The voice isn't mine, obviously, but the story is. So I hope you enjoy. If you do want me to read out chapter 2 and 3, let me know in the comments below and I'll consider it. But with that being said and done, let's hear my first story.
The Time Wanderer. Chapter 1, Lost in Tomorrow. Victor had always been a man of logic, a brilliant physicist whose theories on time travel had been dismissed as impossible fantasies. But after years of secretive research and sleepless nights in his basement lab, he had done it. He had cracked the code. His time machine, no larger than a wristwatch, was complete. With shaking hands, Victor strapped the device to his arm, eager to test it. He had planned to travel just a few years ahead, perhaps 10 at most, to test the waters and see the world in the near future. But something went terribly wrong the moment he pressed the button. The light around him bent and blurred, and he felt himself falling, endlessly, timelessly. When he opened his eyes, he found himself standing in the middle of a vast, sprawling city. But this was no city he recognized. Towering structures made of shining metal and glass stretched into the sky, beyond the clouds. Floating vehicles zipped through the air, casting shadows on the glowing streets below. People, if they were even human, moved in precise, almost mechanical fashion, their bodies enhanced with strange technology. Victor's heart raced. He checked his watch. The date read 3056. He had overshot his target by over 1,000 years. Panic surged through him as he frantically tried to reset the watch, but the controls were unresponsive. The screen flickered with strange symbols and then went black. He was trapped in a future far beyond anything he had ever imagined. Victor wandered the city, searching for anyone or anything familiar. He approached a group of people, men and women with glowing eyes and metallic limbs, but they didn't understand his speech. Their language was a strange blend of tones and robotic hums. Even when he tried to communicate through gestures, they looked at him with cold indifference and walked away. The future, it seemed, had no place for a man like Victor. Days passed, though Victor had no way of knowing for sure. The concept of time felt warped in this place. Nights never seemed to fall, the sky remained a constant gray haze, and there was no natural light. He wandered the city, watching the people move about their lives, but he felt like a ghost, unseen, unheard, and utterly alone. His attempts to repair the time machine had been fruitless. He didn't understand the advanced technology around him, and there were no tools or parts that resembled anything from his own time. The more he tried, the more hopeless he became. It wasn't just that he was lost in time, it was that he didn't belong here. The world had evolved beyond anything he could comprehend, leaving him stranded in an alien future. Victor tried to adapt, but the future was cold and unwelcoming. The people he encountered had little need for conversation or companionship. They were connected to machines, to each other, in ways he couldn't understand. The warmth of human interaction, the touch of another person, had been replaced by an artificial, digital existence. As the days blurred together, Victor began to lose hope of ever returning to his own time. His memories of the past, his home, his friends, even the feel of the sun on his face, began to fade, replaced by the sterile, mechanical world he now inhabited. He felt himself slipping away, becoming a shadow in the vastness of the future. One day, while wandering the outskirts of the city, Victor stumbled upon something strange, a ruin. It looked out of place, a relic from a time long past. Overgrown with strange plants, the crumbling structure seemed ancient, yet it had a familiarity that tugged at something deep inside him. He stepped inside, hoping for answers. Inside the ruins, he found remnants of an old lab, faded blueprints, broken machines, and scattered notes written in a language he could read. His heart leapt. This was a place from his time, or at least close to it. As he sifted through the debris, he found a journal. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, but as he read, his hope reignited. The journal belonged to someone like him, another time traveler who had become lost in this distant future. The writer had documented their attempts to return home, their failures, and their eventual resignation to a life trapped in time. But on the final page, a clue: the device must be recalibrated at the source. Victor's mind raced. The source. It could only mean the moment of his original departure, the place where he first activated the time machine. If he could find a way to recreate that moment, perhaps he could reverse the process and return to his own time. But the challenge was monumental. The city around him was not built on the same foundations as his own. The world had shifted, transformed. He had no idea where the source might be, or if it even still existed in this future. Yet, with renewed determination, Victor set out on a quest to find it, to retrace the steps of time itself. Years passed as Victor scoured the land, following the faint traces of the old world hidden beneath the layers of the new. He became an outsider, a wandering legend in the eyes of the future's inhabitants. They called him the Time Wanderer, a man forever searching for a way back to a time long forgotten. But despite the countless failures, Victor never gave up. He held on to the belief that somewhere, buried beneath the weight of centuries, the key to his return was waiting for him to find it. And one day, perhaps, he would step through time once more and finally make his way home.